Roy, who just did an incredible job with these kids. This hits home for us. Being from Athens, just down the road, Marty and I, having a daughter that taught first grade just a few years ago, this is everybody's worst nightmare. And I just want to offer my sincere condolences, prayers to the families that have lost loved ones, for those that are injured and continuing to fight through just a tragic time for really this whole community that's been affected by today's actions. And I just cannot thank the first responders enough. I cannot thank Director Hosey, Colonel Hitchens, Director Stallings at GEMA, the whole state response. I want to thank Special Agent Farley and her team from the FBI that are embedded with us in the school as we speak, running down every single lead and other things that Director Hosey will mention tonight. I represented Bexar County when I was in the state Senate 20 years ago. These are our neighbors, these are our friends, and this community is hurting today. And I would just ask all Georgians and all Americans to continue to keep these families, these educators, and these students in your thoughts and prayers. And we will provide every state resource that is needed from here, community, and support this team behind me. And with that, I'll turn it over to Director Hosey.
Thank you, Governor. Real quick, we wanted to provide some additional updates from today's events, and I will mention too that this will be our last update for the evening, so I please hope you'll understand that. Let me start by saying that there's no evidence to report that any additional shooter was involved in this incident today. Investigators are actively pursuing, however, any leads of any potential associates of the shooter that was involved in this incident. So I say that to say we're following up any potential leads through the investigation to ensure if there are any associates involved in this that we find them, we identify them. So that's part of, again, the ongoing investigation. There is no evidence of a list of schools being targeted. However, there is a lot of evidence that is being recovered and evaluated. We're going through everything to determine if there is any active threats to any schools in this area, this county, and the state of Georgia. And we will continue to monitor that throughout this investigation, throughout the evening as we carry on. There was a call, as we're aware of, to a local high school as well this morning with a reported threat. Police responded and investigated and determined that there was no threat after all. There's been reports that a Colton Gray, who is another student here at the school, was involved, or Colton Gray was involved in this. If you recall from a previous press conference earlier this afternoon, the individual that we have arrested and will be charged with this, his name is Colton Gray. But there is another student here at the school with a very similar name. We want to ensure everyone that Colton Gray is not involved in this incident. That is the name that I provided you earlier this afternoon. So those reports were inaccurate, if that was passed on to you. I do, however, want to identify the victims of this incident today, those that lost their life in this tragic event. Mason Schermerhorn, age 14, who is a student here at the school. Christian Angelo, who is 14, also a student here at the school. Richard Aspinwall, not sure of his age, but he was a teacher here at the school. And Christina Irmery, I'm sorry for my pronunciation, who is also a teacher here at the school. We will post a list of these victims for the correct spellings for everyone later this evening after we complete the press conference here. Also, as has been released, the FBI's National Threat Operations Center has received anonymous tips in the past of online threats to commit school violence or school shootings at an undetermined location and time. The FBI referred this information to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office for action. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office identified and located Gray, who is our suspect in this case, They conducted an investigation at that time, and there was no probable cause for arrest or to take any additional law enforcement action. This is not recent, this is in the past, but we wanted to bring that to your attention because we are pursuing that, working with the FBI on that, and any connection to that incident that could be connected to today's incident as well. Also, we're also aware of some previous contacts that the Department of Family and Children Services in the area had with the suspect and his family, and we are pursuing that avenue as well too, to see if that has any connection with today's incident. Let me stress again, as we have many times, that this is still a very fluid investigation. It is still very active. We will have agents, and there will be law enforcement personnel that will be pursuing investigative leads and collecting evidence throughout the night and into much of tomorrow, I would anticipate as well. We again ask for your patience in that. This is a criminal investigation, and we're going to treat it like that. So I apologize ahead of time if we don't answer some of the questions that you may ask, so please understand. I also want to bring note to one very special thing that we do not need to forget about here, is we have heroes in our midst. We've talked about our law enforcement personnel, our fire, our EMS. Those that are deceased are heroes in my book. Those that are in the hospital recovering right now are heroes in my book. But also the heroes that we need to remember is our faculty and staff here at this school. They acted admirably. They were heroes in the actions that they took. The protocols that this school and this system activated today prevented this from being a much larger tragedy than what we had here today. So I want to recognize them as heroes, because they are. And continue with our thoughts and prayers, as has been mentioned, for the families that were lost here today, those that were lost here today, those that are recovering in the hospital, and obviously those that were affected directly by this tragedy here at the school, and all of the community of Barrow County. We need to continue to have them in our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you for doing another one of these again. Can you tell us, by chance, since he's being charged as an adult, will he be in court tomorrow? Will there be a first court appearance? Will he be booked tonight? Will that happen?
He will be booked tonight. I'm not sure of the court appearance, but it will be within a reasonable amount of time.
Is there anything that you can share with us about the weapon that was used, by chance?
The weapon that was used in this was an AR platform style weapon.
So how did Mr. Gray get the gun into this?
We're still investigating that aspect of it.
Did he go out of the classroom, get the gun, and come back? We've heard some of that from some students.
We're still trying to clarify a lot of the timeline from the time that he got here to school today until the incident took place.
And last one from me. I mean, so often, I know people at home, we always hear something that the FBI has heard something about someone who goes and does one of these tragic events. How can we stop this from happening? Because it feels like this happens every single time there's a school shooting that we heard that there was a prior threat or there's prior knowledge. When lives are at stake, how can we stop this from happening?
Well, there's a variety of ways, in my personal opinion. Community involvement, what our school system is doing here to ensure that. Whether we'll be able to stop it completely one day or not, I don't know. Those are decisions that each individual is making on their own to do this. But again, I go back to what I said earlier about the heroes here that prevented things from being a lot worse today. But we've got to take action within our own communities, take care of each other, be aware of our surroundings and what's going on in our community.
Dr. Hosey, do you believe
and they found hunting rifles in the family home? Was an AR platform weapon among those weapons that were in the home during that interview?
Again, that's part of a lot of the things that we're trying to clarify within the investigation. Again, we're very early.
As a parent situation, was it from a 911 call from a faculty or staff member or from a student? Can you just expand on that since they got here within minutes?
Could you also expand on why it was a female faculty member walking around looking for the student minutes before he shot up the school?
No.
Can y'all clarify that?
I'll let Director
Why
Hosey
the
answer that question.
Source officer didn't approach him?
Ma'am, let's get this question right here, and then we'll come
You
back
asked
to you.
how was they notified?
Yeah, we discussed today, heard earlier, law enforcement here within several minutes. So we're just curious how the notification went through. Did 911 hear about it from a student, or was it a faculty that made that call alerting law enforcement?
All of our teachers are armed with a form of an ID called Centegix. And Centegix alarms us and alerts the law enforcement office after buttons are pressed on an ID, and it alerts us that there is an active situation at the school for whatever reason, and that was pressed. And we've had that about a week now.
And we've heard stories of students actually pulling other students while they're in the hallway, while all this chaos is happening, while shooting is going on. We've heard stories about students pulling their classmates into the classrooms to get them to secure, to get them to safety. What do you think that says about these young folks who are, very 13, 14, 15 years old, that they're looking out for one another like that?
It's admirable. It's like Director Hosey said, we have heroes among us, and those students and teachers that did that today saved a lot of lives. This could have been way worse than what and again, the investigation is still trying to file through that information, but those kids are heroes and brave as well to do that when they hear an active shooter around them.
Sheriff, you talked about
Let me get this one question right here. Did you have something else, Van?
No, it was me.
Okay.
I was asking, why did the school resource officer not go looking for this kid and approach him, and why they sent a female faculty member to the room, to the algebra room he was in with my daughter, looking for him instead of the school resource officer, or why the school allowed this boy to come and go from the class all the time. He would go and sign up for the restroom pass, leave the class, and come back sometimes, and sometimes never come back. He has been wandering this school.
With all due respect, ma'am, I think your information is incorrect, and our investigation is going to lead to what we have, and we will be glad to answer your questions once that's done.
I guess victims are lying to me then.
Possibly.
Sheriff, what can you tell us about the SROs? You talked about a lot of heroes. You talked about how one of the SROs encountered the shooter. What can you tell us about them, who they are, how long they've been working here, and what they did today?
Both of the SROs that are here at these high schools, at all of my high schools, I have two there. Both of the SROs, to include a third one, was here today, not for any other reason other than to help and assist today. They're the true heroes as well. They were actively looking. They had an alert, I guess, if you will, and when they interjected, or when this shooting began, they interacted with the shooter, Mr. Gray, and as soon as they made contact with him, he gave up immediately.
Can you share these officers' names?
Not at this time, I'd rather not.
Well, where is the shooter right now? You said in custody.
The shooter is in custody at the Bexar County Detention Center because he is a juvenile. He's being booked in, and he will be transported to RYDC.
Were officials or school administrators tipped off by a threat here before the shooting happened?
I'm not aware of that at this time.
Sheriff or Director, can you say the condition on those injured that were taken to the hospital? Have you got any updates on how they're doing?
All of our victims that are at the hospital are going to make it and going to recover well, as we've been told, and we don't expect any more fatalities at this time.
Last question.
Has there been any shooting or tragedy to this scale inside a Georgia school that you're aware of? Can you speak to that?
I can't speak to that, no.
Can you put this in perspective for us then? What today has meant for law enforcement, for students, all of those affected?
Tragic. When someone preys on kids, it's tragic. Like I said earlier, hate is not going to prevail in our county, and hate's not going to prevail in our state. And pure evil did what happened today. That's all I can tell you. I want to continue to say that. I'm proud of the men and women behind me. I'm proud of the women that stood beside me. I'm proud of the men and women who protected these kids. I'm proud of this staff. I'm proud of this community. And I just ask for prayers. Thank you.
Is there any more your office can do to prevent shootings like this?
Well, look, we've done a tremendous amount on school safety, but today is not the day for politics or policy. Today is the day for an investigation to mourn these precious Georgians that we have lost, to thank the first responders that went, into the line of fire, the school staff, superintendent, the principal, and others that are just trying to hold this community together. That's what we need to be focused on right now. We also had a tragic loss of a firefighter in Greene County earlier today before this event happened, with an explosion that killed the life of a first responder that, again, was running in to danger when many people were trying to run out. And that's what the focus needs to be on tonight. I would ask everybody to continue to keep this community, these victims, and these educators and these men and women in law enforcement in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor.
I just want to thank everyone for their patience and taking the time to cover this. We ask that you continue to follow the GBI for updates. As we said earlier, we're going to continue to provide updates. It's very important that we get this information out. But right now, we really want to focus on our victims, and you can, as I said earlier, continue to follow us as we provide additional updates. Thank you.
The spellings of those victims' names.
Yes, I will.
Hey,
Thank
when
you.
you post cities of residence for the adults, if possible.